We are live. I'm so excited to see so many of you guys already here from all over the world. You guys are so welcome to this live. I have the privilege of talking to Erick Jansen, who was born in Colombia, raised in Aruba. He is now married to a German girl. They're living in Germany. He's a software engineer and he's also part of a band. So, welcome, Erick.
Thank you. Thank you. It's so good to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Yes, absolutely. And I just wanted to say hello. I see a lot of people here. Hader, I'm not sure if you're still here. Clayton from Brazil is watching. Gabriel from Brazil. Jose from Mexico. Mateus from Brazil. We also have Rodolfo Mena from Mexico. Hello. Zakor from Algeria. That's amazing. And let's see, we also have Corey from Tails Tailars. I don't even know where that is. Where? What is that? Have you heard of that? Also, somebody from Guadalajara, Marlene. Hello,
Mexico.
hola. Patricia, bonjour. Corey, howdy. Wow, you guys, Marika from Italy. This is so fun. This is so fun. Calvin from Greer, of course. Calvin and Erick, we actually met you at the same time, and you and Calvin have really kept in touch, which has been, yeah, such a blessing.
Yeah,
Amazing.
that's true. Yeah,
And we
that's
met
true.
in Mexico. We met you
Yep.
in Mexico.
Yeah, that was my
Yeah.
very first time I went to Mexico, and yeah, I met you guys there. That was really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that was amazing. So let's start maybe from the beginning. And then if anyone has questions as we go through this live, just feel free to write in the comment box and Erick would be happy to answer. And so you were born in Colombia. And how old were you? Are your parents from Colombia?
Yeah, so I was born in Colombia, or the reason was because my mom is Colombian.
Okay.
Um, and my father is from Aruba, from this little island in the Caribbean. It's just off the coast of Venezuela.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually a Dutch island, so which makes it very interesting because
Oh, that is.
I'm technically Dutch in that sense. Like I have a Dutch passport.
Wow. No
Um,
way.
yeah,
I had no idea.
but in no way it is am I raised in the Dutch culture at all.
Okay.
So I'm fully from the Caribbean, fully the warm culture, Latin American.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I was born in Colombia. When my mom was pregnant and ready to give birth, she wanted to be with family,
Mm-hmm.
and in Aruba, she was mostly with my father and his family, and she just wanted to be close to her family, her side of the family during the birth. And so, yeah, she went to Colombia just to have me. Um,
Wow.
and so I was born in Colombia, and then about, I'd say, a month and a half later, um,
Mm-hmm.
uh, my father came and picked us up. It was a big story because they didn't let me go. Like my father had to travel, like to come and say, "Yeah, I'm the
Wow.
father. Yeah, come on, he can come," And so he
Wow.
picked me up in Colombia, and took me to this little island, which is where I grew up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And did your parents speak any English?
And not at all, to be like, not my mom, for sure, not my mom.
Okay.
um and my father, like, yeah, it's like Caribbean English, I
Yeah.
guess we could call it. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So how did you learn English? And was English your second language then?
No, no. So
No.
English was, let me think, it was like my fourth language.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell me about all of the languages that you speak and how you learned them.
Yeah, so um my mother tongue, by definition, if we say it like my mother tongue, like what my
Mm-hmm.
mom spoke to me,
Mm-hmm.
is Spanish. And
Okay.
then what my father spoke to me, which I like to call my father tongue, is papiamento. um
Papiamento. Is that similar to Spanish? I've never heard of that.
I would say it's more similar to Portuguese.
Really?
Yeah, because it's based
So cool.
in Afro-Portuguese,
Okay.
at its roots, and then has influences, like many different other influences, like Arawak Indian, and it has like African influences as well, French,
Wow.
some Spanish.
Could you say something in that language, even just like, hello, how are you?
The funny thing is, it's going to sound exactly like Portuguese because that's the way we greet. So, hey, come by.
Hey,
Yeah,
kumbai.
yeah. Like,
Okay.
hey, how are you?
Uh-huh.
Yep,
Uh-huh. Wow.
yep.
Okay.
And instead of us saying bom, which is with the M,
Bom.
we would
Mm-hmm.
say bom with an N at the end.
But in Portuguese, it is more of the N sound. Like tudo
Aha.
bom? Tudo bom?
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. So
So,
that is interesting. Clayton, he's from, oh, we have someone watching from Panama, Harold. And Mauricio, hello. And Clayton, Portuñol. Is it like a mix of Spanish and Portuguese?
yeah, I would say like you could say so. Like it
Yeah.
definitely has the intonation of Portuguese. Like it's very rhythmic, and it's a
Mm-hmm.
I would say it's a, yeah, it's quite a cool language. It's official. It's
Yeah.
official now, like an official
Wow.
language, and
Wow.
I've like shown some of my Brazilian friends.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've given them some sentences and even
Yeah.
let them listen to music, and they're like, "It's exactly like Portuguese."
That's so
Yeah, yeah,
interesting. Wow. So do
yeah.
you still speak that on a regular basis or not so much?
Yeah, yeah. Every time I speak with my father, I
Yeah.
also or with my brother,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I also try to speak with my kids that.
Yeah.
So I'm often like, yeah, mixing. I'm speaking Spanish or Papiamento, depends. I'm just trying
Okay.
to
Okay.
try to keep my heritage alive as well with them,
Yeah, totally.
and
That's
passing
so
that through. Yep,
beautiful.
yep.
Wow. And so what was your third language then?
Yeah, and so after Papiamento comes Dutch.
Dutch.
Yeah,
Oh my
be-
goodness.
yeah,
I had
because
no
that's
idea. Wait,
y-
and then you speak English and then you also speak German.
yes,
So
yes,
five.
yeah.
Wait, is there more that you're hiding?
Well, I mean, kind of.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
because it's like you could think of it like that I can speak some other languages that are based around that. So,
Okay. Okay.
for example,
Mm-hmm.
Portuguese. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yes, maybe I cannot directly speak Portuguese,
Mm-hmm.
but if someone speaks Portuguese to me, I understand them, and I can mix Papiamento and Spanish to communicate as well what I want to say, and
That's
they get me.
amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
totally. We have Kaya from, or Kevin from Colombia. Hello, welcome. And Rodolfo asked, how much time do you think it takes to learn a new language? Which is a great question.
It's a really good question. I'd say for me it doesn't take that long, but it's probably because I was raised with like
Several.
at least three languages.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so that and in a very international community, because Aruba is very international.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's just I was surrounded by languages all the time. And
Yeah.
for example, when I moved to Germany, and like I would say within the first like 3 to 6 months, I was already like like understanding almost, yeah, like
That
understanding everything I needed to understand
That
to
is
navigate.
incredible. That's incredibly quick. And I would say, too, adding to that question, I just remembered we can pop it up on the screen that it depends on what language you're learning. So if they're all similar, just like you
Yeah,
said, you're going to learn it quicker. So, me knowing Spanish, I was able to learn Portuguese and feel fairly comfortable in about 8 months. Like,
yeah,
because where I filmed a YouTube video in Portuguese.
yeah,
But if I was like learning something like Mandarin or Korean, it would probably be, I don't know, it could be 2 or 3 years,
yeah,
maybe.
yeah. Yeah, I
So,
think so too. I think if I was gonna learn something completely different, it probably would take me way more.
mm-hmm,
Um,
mm-hmm.
yeah, because I tried to learn Kurdish, um,
Okay. Where is
and
that spoken?
like Kurdistan, for example, which is a
Okay.
the Kurds. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I
Wow.
was in Greece.
Why did you want to learn that language? That's so unique. I've never heard of anyone that's trying to learn it.
Yeah, so I was during the first wave of refugees that were coming to Europe.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was at the coast in an island called Kos in Greece, which I went there to provide some help. Um,
Okay.
and to, yeah, mostly we were at the beach site, welcoming the refugees and trying to help them navigate to
Mm-hmm.
the right places that they had to go to get the necessary help needed. Um,
Wow. Wow.
And there I met a lot of friends that were speaking Kurdish, and yeah, very easily they wanted to to teach me this as well, and I thought this
Yeah.
would be a great opportunity. So they started teaching me some words, but
Wow.
it it
Wow.
it was quite hard.
Yeah. Because
So
it's so different, right, from the
yeah,
languages that you
yeah,
know.
exactly.
How did you learn Dutch then? And how do you remember how old you were?
Yes, I can tell you exactly. I was 7.
7. Okay,
Yes,
so you were super young.
yeah,
Yeah.
because das ist fantastisch. Ich lerne Deutsch. Ah, cool. Someone's
Ah.
learning German there. Nice.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah,
Hello.
I was because Aruba is Dutch, remember? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Or
Mm-hmm.
we're part of the Dutch kingdom. We're an
Yes.
autonomous island within the kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so our most of our education system, like our public education system,
Yeah.
is Dutch.
Okay, so you went to school and it
Yeah.
was Dutch.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
So
the
then,
language, sorry, go
yeah,
ahead.
no, no. I was going to ask you then, did you communicate? What was the language that you communicated with your friends in school?
Papiamento. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
papiamento.
Okay, that's the language of our people. That's
Yeah,
like
okay.
that's what
So
we speak.
that's what you hear if you go out into the stores, into the streets.
Yes.
And then would you say the majority of the population speaks Spanish and Dutch as well?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And
Yeah.
English as well, or?
Very likely English as well.
Wow.
More likely
Okay.
English. I would think that most people would speak better English than Dutch, but that might be my limited
Mm-hmm.
like my circle and everything. Like when I grew up, I knew that most people were more fascinated by English than by Dutch.
Yeah.
And it could
Yeah.
be because it was also linked to school, and so we're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, this is like
Mm-hmm.
school language, you know?
Yeah, totally. You're like, I
Yeah,
don't want it at school.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. So do you remember how old you were when you first started learning English?
Yeah, it was. Well, we're surrounded by English in Aruba.
Mm-hmm.
It's a huge, how do you say? It's a huge tourist destination for Americans.
Yes, yes, for
Um,
sure.
and so lots of tourism. It's always English if you want to be in the tourism
Mm-hmm.
industry, and yeah, then in school.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we learning English, and then all of our media,
Yeah.
so movies,
Okay.
all of
It's
this.
not dubbed then. You can turn on
No,
the TV and it's in English.
it's in
Okay.
whatever language it is, which I think is really cool.
Yeah,
Um,
I think that's great because it
yeah,
helps you to learn the language.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
totally.
Because I always was like had like people that had issues learning English. I would ask them like, how did the movies appear in their country? And
Yeah,
usually it was dubbed,
totally.
and
That's
because of
totally
that,
true.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So right now you can go into Aruba and speak to a little kid, and
Yeah,
he will for sure know English because
that's
the
amazing.
cartoons, everything that they watch is in English.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. I have so many questions for you because you speak so many languages. It's amazing. There, Rodolfo has another question asking what was the most difficult language that you learned?
Hmm.
Which is a great question as
It
well.
is a great question. I'd say, to be honest, I think it was Dutch.
Dutch.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
It yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it
What?
was like when I was
Yeah.
little,
Mm-hmm.
it still was like, yeah. I also didn't really want to learn it. It felt almost like a forced language, right?
Okay.
And
That makes a difference when
yeah,
you're obligated and it's like you have to learn. You want to rebel and not learn.
yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember what was hard about learning Dutch for you? Was it listening or speaking or structure of the sentences or?
Yeah, well, to be clear, most of my languages, I am not the best at grammar. That's
Mm-hmm.
just me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And and I think that's the side effect of having so many languages
Yes.
is that
Yeah.
grammar usually it's a little bit weaker,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
and you're never really like pro in one language.
Right, because you
Yeah,
have so many in your mind, like
yeah,
which it would be another question that I have. And if you guys are just coming into the live, welcome. If you have any questions, feel free to write them in the comment box. And we also love to know your name and where you're watching from because it's super fun. But do you confuse the languages in your brain? Do you sometimes say words from other languages that you shouldn't be saying?
Yeah, I initially, when I started learning German, I definitely confused it with Dutch.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Okay.
there were a lot of words that were like very similar.
Yeah.
And so I would often confuse it. And I think that if I
Mm-hmm.
lived in the Netherlands right now, if I would move there now,
Yeah.
it would be the same if I needed to start speaking Dutch again. I would
Okay.
again start throwing German words in there.
Yeah,
So,
totally.
yeah.
Totally. What language do you speak with your wife? Because she is German.
Yes, I speak English,
Okay.
um, but now more often we are also like speaking in German. But whenever
Okay.
it comes to like more serious topics or discussions, we're always
Mm-hmm.
speaking in English. But
Mm-hmm.
just for like fun and
Yeah.
just here and there, we are always speaking German as
Yeah.
well.
What about your kids? Because you have two kids. How old are they? What are their names? And what language do you both speak to your kids?
Yeah, so Jediah is our oldest. He's our son.
Mm-hmm.
He's 7, and Nalani is our daughter. It's the youngest, and
Mm-hmm.
she's 4.
Okay.
Both were born in Aruba,
Okay.
because we wanted to give them the well, not just the Dutch passport, but the Dutch
Mm-hmm.
passport that says that they were born in Aruba. So
Wow, that's special.
yeah,
That's
so that
amazing.
if they ever wanted to live there,
Uh-huh.
no problem. So
Wow, that's incredible. So they
yeah.
they have how many passports do your kids have then?
Well, right now they only have the Dutch one.
Okay.
They could have the German one, but they don't need it. I mean, the Dutch one
Okay.
right now is sufficient because it's European. Yeah.
Right. Right. And does your wife speak to them in German?
Yeah. So my wife speaks German
Okay.
to them,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd say that the kids right now are most fluent in German. I mean, that's where we live.
Okay. Yeah,
Um,
totally. Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
and our youngest, Nalani,
Mm-hmm.
she struggles right now with all the other languages. So she's
Yeah.
mostly German.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm also not so like strict with
Yeah.
sticking to one language. I'm
Okay.
switching all the time.
They're like,
Um,
what's going on,
yeah,
Dad? Yeah.
but we have friends that have been doing this as well, and
Yeah.
it's totally fine.
Yeah.
I mean, thinking about how I grew up, right? Like I grew up
Yeah. How
around
many
many
languages?
languages.
Yeah.
My father would sometimes speak Spanish or Papiamento, and
Mm-hmm.
in the house it
Mm-hmm.
was all over. And
Yeah,
I,
that's
I
true.
really I really don't make it so strict.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so right now, mostly what I'm trying to do is to do dedicated times where I can like, hey, now we're going to speak some Spanish, or now we're going to speak some Papiamento, and um,
Wow.
just
Wow.
bringing words here and there. And
Yeah.
but yeah, Nalani struggles the most.
Mm-hmm. Because
But
she's younger as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But that is an amazing gift that you're able to give your children, that you actually speak to them in several of the languages that you speak. That's amazing. That's
yeah, yeah,
incredible.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And Jediah is pretty good at the other languages.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mostly Spanish, because we lived with him a bit longer in Aruba, and he was already like in the age of speaking.
Okay. Yeah.
So I remember right before we came to Germany, back to Germany,
Mm-hmm.
because we lived a
Mm-hmm.
year in Aruba. We took
Mm-hmm.
like a little break there,
Yeah.
and he was only speaking Spanish, and
Wow.
even to my wife, he would respond to her in
Wow.
Spanish,
Does your
and
wife speak Spanish?
yeah, she does a little
Okay.
bit too, yeah.
Okay.
And but then when we came back to Germany, it only took 2 weeks, and then he completely switched, and
Kids,
he didn't want to speak
they're
Spanish anymore.
amazing.
Yeah.
Oh no, you were like, son. Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
talking to him in Spanish, and then he would just respond to me in
Wow.
German, and I that's also where I was like, okay, I'm not gonna get it become too strict, and
Yeah.
I'm just gonna
Totally.
flow with it. So
Yeah,
yeah,
go with it. Go with it.
yeah,
I don't want to miss these questions. Oh, and this one, Rodolfo, when your wife is upset, does she speak to you in German?
yeah. That gives the assumption that the German language is like a harsh one, but that's not true. That's not
No,
true.
but
Yeah,
like if like because it's her native language, so she can express herself the best in it. I think that's
True.
his angle. So I don't know if you want to answer that one.
She doesn't speak to me in German like that when she's angry.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Mauricio's asking if you can say something in Portuguese, but you can say something in Papiamento because
Yes.
that's the native language of yours.
Yeah, I can say something in Paviamento, and he can tell
Mm-hmm.
me if he understood, which most likely he will.
Yeah, do
Yeah.
it.
So let me see. Let me think about it. I could say, hey, mi nombre é Erick, mi tenho 28 anos, então mi vivo na Alemanha e mi trabalho como software engineer. Mi hope feliz daqui, não? E hope danke.
Wow, I understood it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you were introducing yourself. You were saying your name is Eric, that you're 28. Are you only 28?
I'm only 28.
Wow, so young. And you were saying that you live in Germany, you're a software engineer, and the very last sentence I didn't get. Did you guys get it? I don't know.
I said hope donkey.
Hopi donkey. Like,
Yeah.
have a great day.
Or I could also say masha donkey, which means like thank you.
Oh,
Thank you very much.
You.
Yep.
Okay. I wanted to laugh because the word donkey in English is the animal. So
Yeah,
like, I don't
because
think he's saying the animal.
it's so funny because so German is danke, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And to say thank you, and then in
Yeah.
Dutch is dank je well.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. Okay.
But then in Afrikaans, which is the other language I understand, like Portuguese.
Oh my gosh. You're brilliant.
Yeah, and
That's
there they
amazing.
say donkey. So
Okay.
it's just crazy. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Lucas, hi Lucas from Brazil. He said it sounds like a mix of Dutch and Spanish. Calvin says he loves it. Oh, Mauricio, I think he understood as well,
Yeah,
which is
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Gabrielle, very good. Camille, thank you. I'm proud of myself. Okay, there was a couple questions up above. So Harold had asked, I'll just put it up on the screen. He had made the comment that Dutch is a fantastic language. I love it. I'm learning German because in half German. Oh, he's half German from his mom's side, so he'd like to connect. That's so cool. So I think he wants to say like, what's the most difficult thing?
I had this question recently.
Yeah.
I was in an interview with a Mexican friend,
Uh-huh.
and he was asking me what's like a really hard word to say in German, and
Mm.
and one of the most common ones is to say the number 545.
Oh no.
So to say 545 in German is 545.
No, that sounds Asian.
Yeah.
That is so hard.
Yeah. So Harold, 545. When you can say that in German, I think you're pretty good.
Say it one more time. I'm gonna try it.
545.
No, I just got the first part. Sorry, guys. I don't know if German will be my next language. It seems so
Another one would be
hard.
to say, well, you could say a squirrel.
Oh, that's hard
That's
in
a
French. I don't know how to say that in French even.
that's Eichhörnchen.
I have to do the finger. I don't think I got it. I don't think I got it. But I'll try. I'll try anything. Oh, goodness. The
Yeah.
funniest thing with language learning is when I think I'm saying it right, you know? So I'm like, to myself, when I'm saying the word, I'm like, it's correct. But the native person keeps coming back and saying, no, it's not correct. And so I repeat and they correct me and I repeat. And it's just like hard. It's frustrating
Yeah.
because our ears aren't trained like theirs, you know? So they pick up even the slightest accent. So, yeah, totally. This is another question. Do you use the same technique to learn a new language? Do you follow a pattern or something like that? Which is a great question.
Yeah. I think, to be honest, my language learning is very, very natural. Like I don't even like intentionally think about let me learn a new language.
That's crazy because
Yeah.
you know, I mean, what's the count of the languages, okay, that you can understand and then that you can speak? Because
Okay,
I
so
lost count already. There's more than I thought. Like, really, you've surprised me with your knowledge.
Yeah, so 5 I can say I speak,
Okay.
and then if we add the ones that I cannot speak, like
Yeah.
that I could like fluently speak, I'd
Mm-hmm.
say that altogether it would be around 8. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
8. That
yeah.
is
So that
amazing.
would be like Portuguese, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Afrikaans,
Mm-hmm.
and then like Italian or something like that. Or
Oh,
actually, we could add
cool.
French as well. No, Italian, Italian. Yeah,
Okay, okay.
yeah.
I've been learning French now for about 4 months, and it's been the hardest. It's also it'll be the fifth for me, and it is
Nice.
tough. It is really tough.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Oh, my friend Alejandro is watching from Bolivia. Marika is excited that you speak Italian or understand Italian because she's Italian.
Nice.
Yes. Clayton said he was thinking about German, but now he doesn't know because of the 545. Don't let that stop you, Clayton. If you want to learn German, just never say the number. Just learn everything else. Just never do anything that requires you to say that number, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, wait. So sorry. I did interrupt you a little bit with that question. Like, so you said you don't really intentionally say, I'm going to learn a new language. You just learn it because you're a genius?
Yeah, no, that's just the way my brain is kind of wired. Um, I'd say that my German even would be way better if I would have said I intentionally am going to learn this.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
but it just happened to be that, okay, I live in Germany, and so I just was encountered with the language, right?
Yeah.
And so
Mm-hmm.
it was
Mm-hmm.
just like a survival mode, right? I need
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
survive in this country, and therefore I need to know the language.
Yeah.
And
Totally.
so it was always bit by bit, like the things that I needed in that moment to
Mm-hmm.
be able to do
Mm-hmm.
whatever I needed to do.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And your work is in what language?
so my work is in English,
Okay.
but like for hangout, sometimes we speak like in German. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
And what would you say? I'd like to transition a little bit. And you guys, if you're new here, welcome. Feel free to say where you're from and your name in the comments. We love to say hello. And also, I would just like to shift a little bit to culture and differences because Germany, Aruba, tell me how you ended up in Germany and some of the biggest, maybe cultural shocks for you there.
Yeah. I yeah. So well, first of all, how I ended up in Germany.
Yes.
So around in 2010, um, maybe a year before, 2009, I had met a friend that's from
Mm-hmm.
Germany,
Mm-hmm.
and he was working with this nonprofit organization in Germany, right? Which you guys are familiar with YWAM.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I was just going into my like first year of pre-university, I guess you can call it like that,
Okay.
and I I failed that year. Like
Okay.
I just didn't do like my school stuff,
Yeah.
and so I had failed that year, and what that
Mm-hmm.
meant is that I couldn't continue in that school, which would have just required me to have 2 more years and then be finished. Instead, I would
Wow.
have had to go to another school, which would have required me to do 4 years. And
No.
I thought, is this really what I want to do? And
Yeah.
so my friend had encouraged me, like, hey, look into like what we do as an organization. And I thought,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I'll look into it, and I did,
Mm-hmm.
which is what led me to come to Germany. Um,
Okay.
and I landed in a small village in the south of Germany, in
Wow.
Bavaria. Um,
Bavaria.
yeah,
Okay.
which speaks like Bavarian, which is like
Oh
a
my
dialect. And
goodness.
so I was deep in Germany.
Did
Yeah.
you learn that dialect?
Yeah, I learned like some of the sayings, but I wouldn't say that I learned
Yeah.
like
Okay.
the dialect itself.
Okay. Wow,
Um,
that's so interesting.
yeah, and so that's how I ended up in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and what was the second half of? Yeah,
What were some of the biggest culture shocks for
yeah,
you going all the way from Aruba to Germany?
yeah. So biggest culture shock is that
Mm-hmm.
whenever I want to hang out with someone,
Yeah.
I need to make an appointment. Yeah,
Okay.
and that is hard.
Yes.
In
That's also
Aruba,
American as
true.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me in Aruba, I want to hang out with someone. I show up at the door. Yeah.
Wow. And you're just like, I'm here, let's hang out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And
Wow.
most likely they're not gonna turn you away.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Mm-hmm.
gonna invite you in. You're gonna hang out. Like with my parents. Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If I like wanna go to my parents' place,
Mm-hmm.
I just go and that's it, right?
Yeah.
Here it feels that I would have to even make appointments with my parents. Like
Okay.
if I was
Yeah.
in in their
Yeah.
context. Like if I was German,
Wow. Yeah.
that's how it
This,
felt. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I'm curious to those of you guys that are watching in your country, do you just show up at somebody's house without calling them first? Or do you call them and say, hey, let's meet at 2 p.m.? What do you guys do? Write in the comments. I'm curious. My friend Jose, oh, gracias. Rodolfo, it just happened to me, or speaking is the most difficult part of learning a new language. Okay, so is it just me, or is speaking the hardest part about learning another language?
It's definitely not just you, but it is
Yeah.
not me. For me,
Yeah.
for me, the most easy and like
Mm-hmm.
is to speak. The
Mm-hmm.
most difficult for me is to write.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how often, because language learning has the four parts: reading, writing, listening, and speaking. So, how often are you practicing all of these elements of these languages?
Yeah, the writing, I'm mostly writing in English, and I think that's
Mm-hmm.
the reason as well.
Mm-hmm.
I've been writing more in German, so
Okay.
emails and
Yeah.
things like that. I've
Mm-hmm.
really tried to do that, and I have like some autocorrection, right, for
Mm-hmm.
German, which
Yes.
helps, because
Yes.
usually it's like I forgot to capitalize something,
Yeah.
or I
Totally.
forgot like these two little dots, or
Mm-hmm.
things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Totally.
but so for me, I think that writing is really the hardest, like
Yeah.
because I could write exactly how I speak it, um,
Yeah.
but it's just
Yeah.
it's not never correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Well, I think writing, like typing messages to people, is so much easier because I have autocorrect in all of the Italian, Portuguese, Spanish, French keyboards versus writing with a pen and paper. I would probably make so many more mistakes?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. For me,
Yeah.
it's I think reading and speaking is the easiest part.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
Everything
Yeah.
else, it's hard for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I would say for me, I would say the speaking part is the hardest as well, especially just now. I feel like I just kind of crossed over this barrier though, to where I'm like, you know what? I'm going to have this accent. My pronunciation is going to sound funny. It's to me, to them for a while. But I'm just pushing through and trying because I know that it's the only way to get better at speaking a language is to speak it.
yep,
So
yep,
I think if you can get over the mental block in your mind and the fear, of sounding funny or saying things wrong, then you will progress a lot in your language learning
yeah,
journey.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Do you see that question, the difference between German and
yeah.
Dutch?
I like how you just said German and Dutch.
Yeah, I was like, I can't say that word.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there is a difference in pronunciation.
Uh-huh.
So Deutsch is German
Mm-hmm.
and Dutch, but they're different languages. So
Yes.
Deutsch is to say German in German,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and Dutch is to say like what the people from the Netherlands
Yeah.
speak.
So is he
Um,
asking the differences between those two languages then, German and Dutch?
no, I think he's trying to figure out what the difference is when you say Deutsch or Dutch. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm
So yeah,
glad he
so
understood
Deutsch,
that.
yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
Deutsch is the German way of saying German,
Okay.
um,
Okay.
and Dutch is the English way of saying the language of the Netherlands.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I think Marika's the only one that responded about the question with her country. She said, it depends. I usually call before going. So she's from Italy.
Nice.
So,
Yeah, I mean, I would do that too sometimes. Like,
yeah. Yeah.
but like I could say like, "Hey, I'm coming in like an hour or 2 hours," or
Mm-hmm.
something like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if they're there, they're not gonna say no. Um,
Totally.
but
Yeah.
in Germany, it's like, oh, that's too short, like short notice,
We need like 2 days, three
Yeah,
days to
yeah.
prepare for your visit. Yeah.
Let's you want to come on Tuesday? Let's hang out on the weekend or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. No, I've had friends here in America where I'm like, hey, do you want to hang out next week? They'll be like, my next week is so busy. Maybe in 2 weeks we can hang out. So I think in general in America, we have a culture of busyness, where we're just doing so much. We're doing too much that we almost don't even have time to hang out with our friends.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Somebody asked, "Hey you guys, if you're new watching, welcome. I'm talking with Erick. If you have any questions, just write them in the comment box." Rodolfo wants to know if writing 545 is as difficult as saying it in German.
Mm, actually, this word is not too hard for me.
Okay.
Because it's composed of different components.
Okay. Yeah.
Because you can say it's 500, right? So
Mhm.
500, and
Mhm.
then to say 45, which is again like 40 and 5, and so for me that's
Okay.
easier.
Okay.
I so yeah, I would put them on the same level, maybe. Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, if you guys have any questions, we're here, or Erick's here to answer. So, speaking of food, which is always something I love to talk about on my lives, because food and culture and language, they all go hand in hand. Do you guys know that expression hand in hand? They go together. And so, what are some of your favorite foods from Aruba, from Germany?
Great question. Um,
Yes.
so Aruba is super international, right?
Okay.
Just to give a
Mhm.
little background, so Aruba is a super tiny island. Um,
Mhm.
we have maybe around, I'd say around 110 to 120,000 inhabitants,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And among those, there are over 90 different nationalities, right?
Wow.
Yes.
That
So
is
we,
crazy.
yeah, we're an island of immigrants. Like it's just,
Wow.
yes,
That's
it's the way it
amazing.
is. Yeah.
That's amazing. So you could just go out, leave your house, and meet 10 different people from 10 different countries.
Yes. Yes, you can.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And yeah, and so we're all very mixed, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's just very more. You see it the most in Aruba, to be honest. I would say,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, and so um, food-wise, it's the same.
Mm-hmm.
A
Okay.
lot of things have blended. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of things that I grew up eating that I thought were Aruban, like this is Aruban, and then
Yeah.
moved away, right? Came to Germany, and then
Uh-huh.
found out actually it's Indonesian. Actually, it's like I'm like, what?
Wow. That's
I'm like,
crazy.
what? Like I met some like Indonesians, and I'm like, yeah, this is like our local food. He's like, no, that's our local food. Yeah,
No way. That's awesome.
yeah. And I thought like it's the same with a lot of the other foods. So
Yeah. What are some of the common foods that you grew up eating that you remember loving?
so let's say, for example, I grew up mostly eating Colombian food because my mom's
Okay.
Colombian. She's the one that
Arepas?
arepas, for
Oh, so
example. Yeah,
good. Yeah.
arroz con pollo. Like
Okay. Yeah.
different, like very Colombian. My mom was mostly
Mm-hmm.
cooking. My father
Mm-hmm.
cooked as well, quite a lot.
Okay. Yeah.
And but he would mostly cook always the fish, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So he would make fish, and that his cooking was really Aruban. So you have fish, and then you have like a Creole sauce,
Okay.
very typical Aruban.
Okay.
Um, and then you had this corn bread,
Mm-hmm.
um, but it's just very Aruban. I've not encountered anywhere else that has
Yeah.
this.
How would you describe like Creole sauce?
A Creole sauce is
Yeah.
like peppers, onions, like
Okay.
garlic, and like
Okay.
kind of tomatoey, like
Okay.
yeah, tomato paste ish, and then
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Sounds good.
it is really good. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
So those are some of the things you would eat in Aruba, and then going to Germany. I don't even know. I'm trying to think of German foods. If I spent a month in Germany, I'm like, what did we eat?
Schnitzel. Yeah,
Schnitzel.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Which is the
Which
what?
is like, well, it depends. You can have it in with chicken or with pork, and
Okay.
it's and basically it's like how do you say it?
Is it like a
Like,
sandwich?
no, it's like so it's like you have the meat, then you beat the meat, like very
Uh-huh.
typical. You have to beat it, make it flat. Then you
Okay.
put it in egg and then flour and then breadcrumbs,
Okay, and then
and
you
then you fry
fry
it.
it.
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
And
okay.
then you eat this with like sometimes potatoes and
Mm-hmm.
or with
Mm-hmm.
fries. It depends.
Okay. Okay.
Um, so I really like schnitzel actually.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No,
And
not with dough. No,
no.
no dough. Calvin, no
Oh,
dough there.
Calvin's saying some questions. If we want, we can talk about your band as well, unless you have some more food things you want to talk about. But Calvin said, "Tell us about your band and why the cake is a lie." Is that the name of one of your songs from your band?
No, that's the name of my band actually. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. So, you guys, Eric has a band. It's called The Cake is a Lie.
Yes.
And what kind of music do you play? When did you start your band? Tell me about it.
Yeah. So I got recruited into the band. So the band
Okay.
already has around 10 years.
Wow.
Um, but I would say it's been mostly the last 4 years that's really picked up and
Mm-hmm.
gotten more serious.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I've been with them for 2 years now.
Okay. Have
Um,
they always had this name?
yes,
The
yes,
Cake is a Lie.
yeah.
Okay.
They were really
Okay.
young when they started,
Uh-huh.
and they were looking for a name for the band, and then they saw this on the internet. This was a common saying in the internet, which
Mm-hmm.
basically meant like that which was promised to you is false, or like it's an illusion that which you see.
Okay.
And so
Okay.
it was initially spotted in a video game called Portal,
Okay.
but then it
Okay.
became an internet. I forgot what you call these things that like the internet sayings, right?
Okay.
There's
Okay.
so
Yeah.
there's a word for it. I forgot what it's called.
Like memes or something?
No, not memes, not
Not
memes.
memes. Okay.
Pre memes.
Pre memes.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
If I think of the word, I'll let you know.
Okay. Okay.
And so they
Yeah.
picked that name,
Mm-hmm.
and people just now know us by that name, and it just stayed there. So
Yeah. And
yeah,
what kind of music is it?
yeah. So we're playing hardcore music. So
Hardcore.
so
Yeah.
post hardcore, like
Mm-hmm.
yeah. That's it's
Yeah.
hard music. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And the last time you were on tour, where were you?
Yeah, so our last tour, we were well, the route, the plan was that we had 2 weeks in Mexico, then 1 week in Peru, and then 1 week in Colombia.
Okay. Oh,
Um,
what's the language that you sing your music?
oh, we sing in English.
Okay.
Yeah,
English.
yeah,
Okay.
and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so then we spent 2 weeks in Mexico, which was really cool, like
Yeah.
tacos every day,
Oh,
and
tacos are so good.
yeah, and then we finished that part. Then we flew to Peru,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when the pandemic like really hit,
Yes.
and so all the countries went into lockdown, and so the airport in Peru shut, the same as the airport in Colombia.
Wow.
So we got stuck in Peru. We couldn't continue our tour.
I remember
Yeah,
something. Yeah, you were stuck in Peru. I remember seeing one of your posts. How long were you stuck in Peru?
so we were supposed to be there just a week. We ended up
Mm-hmm.
being there 3 weeks. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
But you were basically in lockdown mode for a couple of those weeks.
Two of those weeks. Yeah,
2 of those weeks.
yeah. Two and a
And
half. Yeah.
wow. And then you had to cancel your tour
Yeah, we had to
as
cancel our
well.
tour completely.
Oh,
Just
wow.
really sad. But
Yeah.
we were really looking forward to finish like in Colombia, and but yeah, it didn't happen.
Wow. Wow.
And I think the hardest part of being locked in Peru was not that we were locked.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was like the uncertainty that we don't know when we're
Yeah.
gonna get out.
Yeah. That
Yeah,
is a crazy feeling. You're like,
yeah,
okay, the border's shut. I don't know when I can leave.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. We had a question. Well, first, what is your role in the band? Do you play? Do you sing?
Yeah, so I'm a bass player,
Okay.
and I do some of our background like clean vocals, because
Okay.
mostly we're screaming, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Crazy. Okay. So Alejandro has a question. Do you believe it's necessary to sing songs in the language you're learning about your experience?
Um, I don't really have experience with that
Okay.
because I've mostly been doing it, like we've been singing in English because we wanted a more international audience.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't have experience with that. I wouldn't know how to really answer that, but
Okay.
I think it might help. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
I like German music actually. There's
Okay.
there's quite
Okay.
some German bands that I follow that I really love.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
How much of your life is spent with other languages as far as TV shows, books, and music?
Um, I would say actually almost all of it.
Okay,
Yeah,
yes, I
yeah,
know. I feel the same. I feel like I spend the least amount of time with English, and then most of my time is with these other languages
yep,
to either maintain, or I have friends that I want to connect with,
yep,
or I want to learn, So it's the
yep.
closest you can get almost to an immersion without actually living in the country.
Yeah, I mean, I don't speak any Papiamento or Spanish,
Mm-hmm.
which are the I would say my parental languages.
Right.
So I don't speak. I barely touch them, right? Uh,
Wow.
Only when I'm
Mm-hmm.
speaking with my kids here and there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, but then, other than that, it's English um,
Mm-hmm.
or German,
Wow.
and so mostly English.
Yeah.
So I would say that English has become like my primary language right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. I think in English. I dream in English. I work
Wow.
in English. Study in English. Everything. Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. I think that is the best way to become fluent, doing everything possible that you can in the language that you're trying to learn.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
for sure. That's good. If you guys have any questions for Erick, feel free to write them in the comment box and he will talk about them. This has been super interesting, just hearing even more about your band, which I didn't know about until this conversation.
Yep.
Calvin's going to be like, "How did you not know about his band?" Like, sorry.
I speak quite some computer languages too. Those are other languages I speak, right?
That's
Yeah.
true because
Yeah.
with your job as a software engineer, what exactly do you do?
Yeah. So, I mean, the term software engineer applies to a lot of things, but basically, it is what it is. I'm engineering software,
Okay.
and so I work for a company called LogMeIn, which is basically the creators of the products like GoToMeeting and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
GoToWebinar or LastPass, which is like the password manager.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
so that's the company I work for as a software
Yeah.
engineer, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm primarily working with TypeScript,
Okay.
and so that's like the language I'm mostly working in. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
And so, what are your future plans as far as just work, even with your band? And then, of course, are there any languages that you're thinking about starting to learn?
Yes. Well, I don't have. Well, actually, I don't have like specific languages,
Mm-hmm.
but I know I've made it a goal of mine to learn at least like two other languages that
That's
are
awesome.
completely like different than the ones I know. Um,
Okay.
so like maybe like Arabic or
Wow.
something
Wow.
something like that, or
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
don't know, Japanese or
Yeah.
so that's kind of like my goal really.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, with my band, honestly, most of us have like full-time careers now, and
Okay.
the band has always been a way for us to travel, meet new people, cultures,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
and so because that's what we are a touring band.
Yeah.
We're not even the band that's like in practice room all the time. We're just always on the road.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
and so it's more of a thing of us. It's like the what we do for fun, and
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
we don't have it as a goal or ambition to become big or anything like that. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Clayton's asking how you got into the band.
I was in Czech Republic on tour with another band that I was helping,
Wow.
and the band that was on tour with that band was The Cake Is a Lie,
Okay.
and they didn't have a bass player
Mm-hmm.
at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and like a how do you say, like a permanent bass player,
Mm-hmm.
and I was available, and I really like them as people, and as well as their music, what they do. So
Mm-hmm.
I offered, like I said, hey, like if you guys still need someone, I'll be up for doing that.
Wow.
And so yeah, they said, yeah, of course, we'd love to have you, and that's how I basically learned. Yeah,
Very
jumped in the
cool.
band. Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Oh, this is a good question. What was the most embarrassing moment you had when learning a new language?
That's a really good question.
I know. Does anything come to mind?
I'm trying to think because I'm pretty sure I had many of
Yeah.
those.
Yeah.
Um, I'm trying to think what was the most recent one. Um,
I can go with mine.
yeah,
Recent.
please.
I While you think. So I
Yeah,
had a couple of recent just silly moments in French. So I told somebody that my dad is a dog instead of my dad had a dog. Yes. They're like, I think
nice.
you mean had. And then I've called, I think, three people yellow instead of young because those words are so similar. The pronunciation is just a little bit different in French.
Yeah.
And then I told somebody I need to tell you a very, very important strawberry instead of thing. I said the word strawberry. I don't know. I wanted to say phrase.
Yeah, I recently had, it wasn't necessarily like how do you say, um uh it wasn't necessarily like something embarrassing,
Yeah.
but I was at work.
Uh huh.
It was so you know the word format, right?
Yeah.
So a text is formatted,
Mm hmm. Mm hmm.
and so I had to describe that the text was not formatted.
Okay.
um, and so I used malformatted, but
Okay.
because I heard it many times in our industry,
Uh
but
huh.
it actually is not a real English word. The word
Okay.
what you use there is actually malformed. That's what you have.
Malformed.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And if you want to say that the document is not formatted, then you have to say the document is unformatted. Um,
Unformatted.
yeah.
Okay.
And so
Okay.
it was kind of funny. Like one of my colleagues asked me for this, and I was like, I was trying to say, no, no, it's malformatted. It's malformatted. You know, like,
Yes.
and then like I just was like, why didn't I just do a quick Google search and would have figured it out way earlier before I like was like it's malformatted.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think that's so common. Rika said embarrassing moments every day. I think it's just a part of the language learning journey,
yeah, yeah,
just saying things wrong.
yeah.
Calvin said that we'll learn Arabic together. I think he's very interested in Arabic as well. He started learning French with me for 1 month, and then he's like, going back to Portuguese. Camille, I can't do the French thing. So he's been studying, and he plays soccer every week with Brazilians in our city. And so he's actually kind of getting street Portuguese, if you want to call it that. He comes back and he's like, mind blown. Didn't get a lot of it, but I'm trying.
Yeah, that's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, yeah, I love that.
Yeah, there is
Elvis is so funny.
yeah, playing soccer with Brazilians definitely would help you learn like street Portuguese.
Yeah, totally. Even
Yeah.
their little WhatsApp group chat, it's like all abbreviated and just all of these different phrases that I speak Portuguese pretty well, and I do not understand street Portuguese, all these
Yep.
slang terms.
Yeah.
Which is another interesting question. Do you feel like like the local language of these things? Like you understand a lot of the slang, you understand how people would speak, just normal conversation?
Yeah, so Germany is like you have these different how do you call it? It's like states,
Mm-hmm.
and and like the how do you say like the region, I guess, so like Bavaria or
Province, maybe?
yeah, maybe province, yeah, like
Yeah.
Saxony. And
Mm-hmm.
so all
Mm-hmm.
these places they have their own like almost dialect,
Mm-hmm.
so like
Yeah.
Bavaria you have Bavarian, and then
Yeah.
in Saxony you have Saxish, like which is like
Wow.
which Saxony is where I spend most of my time, and my
Mm-hmm.
wife is from Saxony.
Okay.
So with her family and friends and everything, I've learned like a lot of Sächsisch,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's like I understand quite a lot of it. But then if I hang out with other people that are not from Saxony and I try to explain that, it's like, what, you say that there?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because are these dialects similar to German or are they completely different?
they can be very different. Like
Wow.
Bavarian can be intense. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
That's so fascinating. So many European countries, like Italy, has so many dialects as well. France even has some dialects. I did not know Germany had so many dialects either. That's so
Yeah.
interesting. So then just the people in that province would speak that dialect typically, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So would it be something that like your wife would speak with your children, the dialect, or no?
No, not so much. They still like she still speaks just like High German, I guess you can
Okay.
say like that. I wanted to say pure German, but that's not the proper way. High
Okay.
German.
High German.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
she's mostly speaking that, and that's also like mostly what you would speak like to
Okay.
to other people. But
Yeah.
yeah, if you're like if especially if you're like in villages or little towns,
Mm-hmm.
like you will mostly encounter the dialect and
Mm-hmm.
usually very
Mm-hmm.
thick accents. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. What language is your kid's school in? Is it in German or is it in English
No, it's
or
yeah, it's German. Yeah,
it's German?
yeah.
Okay. But would you say that most Germans speak English?
Nowadays, I'd say yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
though I still see that issue where like a lot of things are dubbed,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and I think because of that, often they do struggle. Like,
Okay.
I would have thought that teenagers in Germany were a bit better with English,
Mm-hmm.
but it could also be because I live in a small town. Maybe in the city it's way different.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
but in the small town, like often the English is a bit weaker. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's because their media is dubbed.
Ah, okay.
Yep.
I'm sure. I'm
Yep.
sure. Oh, Gustavo says, I think I was late. Hello, Gustavo. Yeah, we are getting ready to finish, but I was on this girl's Instagram yesterday and she did this really fun thing, which she had me choose between two things. And so I thought it'd be fun to do it with you, Eric, just to see your tastes. But okay, let me see. We'll answer this one last question and then we'll do that. So, and yeah, comment in the chat. Javier had a great question. How many languages do each of you speak? Even in the chat it would be interesting. I speak 4 and I'm learning 1. Eric speaks 5 and understands 8. Um, but
Yep.
what are the slang words that you like the most? Like
Oh,
that are the
that's
most fun for you to say? That's a really fun question. You have had some great questions,
yeah,
Rodolfo.
true. True.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Let me think of one.
Okay.
An appropriate one.
Yes.
um,
Inappropriate one.
hmm. Let me see.
It is funny because in English I do not swear, but I feel like I can say like merda, and like
Yeah.
it's like in other languages I somehow am like I can say it, it's fine. So
Yeah.
I'm
True.
always saying that in other languages.
True. True. Yeah, and I guess I feel like I can do it in all of them.
Yes.
Yeah, actually, there was one I learned. It's not that inappropriate actually. It's just funny.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I was hanging out with a group of uh, like people in this small town where I live, like the neighbor town,
Uh-huh.
and they have this like little private like bar like in their garage,
Uh-huh.
and every weekend they hang out there.
Yeah.
Like it's just a group, always the same group.
Yeah.
And I happened to just get invited into that group. Um,
Okay.
and so I was hanging out with them. So of course this is pure like Saxonian, like like
Yeah.
accents.
Yeah.
And this guy was trying to teach me this word, which is Glieselraffa.
Oh my
And
gosh.
yeah, basically what that is, it comes apparently what I heard, right? It
Uh-huh.
comes from the word kluse, yeah, which is like these things that you eat in Germany. It's like these
Okay.
almost potato-looking things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, And Rafa is like something where you're like, tie together, like hold together.
Yeah.
And and so basically what this means is it's a bra. It's a bra. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it's a bra.
Yeah.
But you like to say it?
Well, it's
No.
funny. I like to say it like in parties. I'm like, hey, you know this word? I know it's
Oh,
Saxonian. This is it.
so
It's
funny.
the one word. Every time people ask me, do you know Saxonian? That's the word I tell
You're
them.
like, yes, I'm fluent. Here's the
It's
word.
it's actually not even Saxonian. It's like we say it's like Oberlausitz, which is
Uh-huh.
like an area in Saxony. Even it's like even like a
Okay.
deeper slang. So yeah,
So interesting.
yeah.
So interesting. Are you ready? Because I've taken up an hour of your time, but I do want to do this last. Like, what do you prefer between two things? Because it's fun, and then people can get to know you a little bit better.
Cool.
So, do you prefer coffee or tea?
Ooh, these days mostly tea.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm.
And is it mate?
Well, yeah, mate or just a black tea.
Black
Yeah,
tea.
yeah.
Okay. What about the beach or the mountains?
The beach.
The beach. Yes. Best beach that you've ever been to?
Oh, Aruba.
Aruba.
Nothing beats Aruban beaches.
Is the water super warm?
Warm and super clear.
Yeah,
You
that's
can see your feet.
amazing. Wow, that's
Yeah,
amazing. Let's go to Aruba, you guys. What about road trip or plane trip?
a road trip.
A road trip,
Yeah,
yeah. And when you go with your band, is it usually a road trip? Unless obviously you have to cross over the ocean to get there.
yeah. Only like North America tour and South America, Central America was with a plane.
Mm-hmm.
But inland we
Mm-hmm.
were with a bus. Like
Okay.
we had a tour van,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and so usually we're on the road, like
Yeah.
road tripping. Yeah,
Okay. Hot or cold weather?
that's hard.
I know.
Honestly, I this is shocking, but I like the cold.
Really?
Yes, yes,
Okay. That is shocking because Aruba has very mild climate.
yeah, and that's maybe with a reason.
Maybe why? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's good. Wow. I had one more question in my mind and then oh, the last one. Sweet or salty food? More.
Salty.
Salty.
Yep,
Okay. Yeah.
yep.
That was fun. Yeah, this has been super fun just to hang out with you the last hour. I feel like I've gotten to know you so much better with all of these questions, and I am amazed. Like, I saw that comment that Javier said he also speaks four, but people like you guys never cease to amaze me. I agree. Like, I'm amazed that you speak and understand all these languages and that you speak them to your kids and that you have just passion to keep learning. So I'll be excited to just hear about when you finally start to learn these crazy other Arabic or Japanese or whatever language it might be and
Yep.
more about your journey. And I will link your band below. Do you have a YouTube channel with your band or what could I link?
Yeah, I have a YouTube channel with my band. Yep. Yep.
Okay. I'll go
Yep.
ahead and link that below so that you guys can connect with Erick if you want to. And thank you for being part of this live, Erick. It's been great.
Yes. Thank you for inviting me. It was fun. Yep.
Yeah. And thank you guys so much for your participation. It makes it so much more fun when you guys are interacting, right? Asking questions, writing comments. So I really appreciate that. And if you have ideas for future lives, I'm always open. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, activate the bell so that you don't miss any new videos. And I will see you guys soon. Bye, guys. Bye, Erick.
Bye bye.